So I've seen pretty much every case, right? But I've never checked out Caudabe. And I thought I was missing out big time. But was I? I have 3 models here. The Synthesis, the Veil, and the Sheath. Now, I must get this out of the way. I was shocked, and I mean physically shocked, at just how bad the Veil is. It's horrible. Absolute winner of the most terrible case I've ever had my hands on, by far. And I've had packaging that were better than this case. I mean, sure, if you want to go whole minimalist type of cases, I get that. But it has to be at least at the level of a case like Pitaka, where you can make at least the argument that it will matter in the end, albeit little. This won't even matter. Like, for real, the packaging of Banks is thicker than this whole case. I think that if I were to weigh the plastic front of the Banks cases, it would be heavier. Matter of fact, let's just do that. So this is the Banks packaging, right? Get that front off. So this is the front of the Banks packaging. And this is the Veil. The plastic front is 3.8 times heavier than this entire case. I'm not going to go over this one for obvious reasons. Shame on Caudabe for even selling these, especially at the price point where it's at, as this case will set you back $33. With that out of the way, let's have a serious look at the other 2 contenders. The Sheath has a nice soft inner, and it feels as if there is some shock absorbing material beneath it, as you can kind of push it in. Very good. Now the fit is also very good. Easy to install the case, and it clicks in there, very satisfying too. To remove this case though, that's a little more difficult, but still doable. Now I know this is a lot of personal preference here, so I'll just show the clips with sound so you can decide for yourself. The buttons are a step backwards in my opinion, as they are not as clicky as I would have liked. And it requires much more effort to press them too, and that's not necessary. Now without a screen protector, the front bezel will be more than enough I think, especially with that minimalist design scenario. With a screen protector, the bezel gets a little thin for my preference. Now the material on the back and the sides is pretty good actually. Stays grippy throughout the day and you don't see as much on there. The camera bump is very minimal, but once again, this is a minimal case and it reminded me a lot of the Spigen camera bumps. Now, one thing I absolutely love with these is that at the bottom where your pinky finger rests, they've removed the grippy material and just let it be smooth. Now, that's huge, because at the Gripzilla, they left this material on there and it isn't as comfortable over time. So the fact that Caudabe thought about this is very good. Very good MagSafe magnets here, which I did not expect because of the whole minimalist vibe. And the MagSafe charging here works fine too. Now my overall opinion is that this case doesn't feel as refined and still has a lot of sharp edges here and there. For $40, I wouldn't put these very high up on my list. Now let's find out if the Synthesis will change my mind. My first thoughts with this case are that the sides benefit a lot from the grippy dotted pattern, but also just how extremely strong this case really is. It's as strong as Casetify cases, but for a much lower price. The back has a similar yet different texture than the Sheath, and I like this one better as far as the feeling goes. Here, the texture is present everywhere, even at the bottom. Now, I'm not sure why they chose to do that here, but not on the Sheath. Anyway, the buttons also don't have a really satisfying click to them and are definitely less clicky than with the iPhone itself. The fit is exactly the same as with the Sheath, so good when installing it on your phone, not so good when getting it off. But that's coming from someone who regularly takes off the case, so it's more important for me than your average Joe, I assume. Although if you agree, comment down below because I'm really curious to see how many of you agree with that statement. The camera bump is very subtle here too, and I like the design element they put in there, as it makes it unique. They also have very subtle corner bumpers on the back, which make it stand out. I can't help but notice though, you can easily point out the spray edges, which isn't good for my OCD. I like this case the best out of the choices here from Caudabe. Now, as always, these case brands always change or upgrade certain aspects each year, so if you're watching this a year from now, be sure to check out my updated video. And if you aren't done watching cases videos, make sure you check out this one too. And I'll see you there.